Good afternoon, everybody. It's Mike. It is Thursday, the 13th of November. It's been a bloody day here in the markets. This is my daily recap. Let's talk. Um, we got a lot of selling today. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. I'm starting with the VIX here on purpose. The VIX here has a big spike. It's above 20. It is trying to push out of the Bollinger Bands, although it just came back in with 15 minutes to go. When the VIX is out of the Bollinger Bands, it's risk off. When it's back in, it's risk on. This here, you can see it didn't really work until you got this candle here. That's when it worked. So we'll have to see how this plays out. Let's start off with the bonds. Bonds have been selling off all day. Gold, which is up, has been selling off today. Bitcoin is getting absolutely pummeled below 100K. We've seen this kind of coming. Let's go to the SPY. This morning, guys, I did the video. Last night, I talked to you guys about a possible this morning head and shoulders, and I said specifically on the ES, or sorry, not head and shoulders, a H cell pattern. You can see it here. You have this little kind of looking like an H cell pattern on the ES, and you can see that's kind of developing here. We look at the SPY, you can see kind of similar, and here it is coming down. We broke through the 8-day, we broke through the 21-day. That means risk off. We didn't get to the 50-day. We filled this gap that was here. We're still not back to the 3% correction. Volume today. Is it up? Yep, 77 million shares. If there's anything special, absolutely not. The word today we're going to use is, David said it, controlled. Very, very controlled selling today. There was no big thrusts down. You can see this blue line is the AEMA and the 5. You can see how we never got far from it all day long. It was orderly. It was very, very orderly selling. All right. So we're coming into a big spot. And just on Spaces, my buddy Stock Talk, and we're talking back and forth. And he pointed out that the trend that's been holding, and this is always good, and I'll always give people credit, has been the 9 EMA on the weekly. Well, okay, I use the 8, not the 9, but I see what he's saying here, right? You see this blue line that's been very, very holding in the weekly. So tomorrow is a very big spot. Let's talk a couple other things. If we gap down tomorrow and we do not bounce, now remember here, we gap down, but we bounced right away. We didn't get a lot of margin calls. You could have a significant amount of margin calls going off in this market tomorrow if we cannot bounce, if we gap down. Now, the other thing going on out there, and that has been pointed out to me, there's over 1,300 names that are already gone into a bear market in this market, where we have the markets are barely off the highs, not even at 3% correction on the SPY. There's some validity to this. You have a sell-off that's already taken place in a lot of names, and the market's been being held up by lesser and lesser names. Now, that's not to say everything's selling today. So the SPY, this 50-day area is a huge level to hold. If not, we'll start looking towards 660, and here's your 5%. To me, the key level in this market to hold is right here. This candle right here, 652.84. That, if we come down, absolutely needs to hold. The Qs. Here you are back to your 3% correction, your 50-day. The IWM was strong earlier, rolled over, and is breaking to new lows. The Dow is not down that much. It's on the 8-day. The XLF came back in. It's right on the 8-day here. You're seeing some different things there. The banks themselves, JP Morgan, not pretty today, but Goldman held in well. Morgan Stanley held in well. Bank of America, Citigroup, okay. Wells Fargo, not so much. Right. Energy was green most of the day, but capitulated. Biotech remains strong. It's down, but you have names like Lilly today putting a new all-time high in. J&J, new all-time high, and they're holding well. BMY came in, put a new range high in. Merck, right? So biotech in general holding in well. Pharma specifically, for dividends. We also saw safety play names like Coke and Pepsi held in well today and strong. Costco was green today. Right? So let's bring this back to what else is going on. The SMH is here, ugly little candle today. You have a downtrend there. Nvidia getting absolutely spanked going into earnings next week back on the 50-day. AMD, I had a beautiful trade on today. I had a beautiful bounce, and early on I wasn't thinking about shorts for the most part. You had this beautiful bounce and gave a nice trade up into my sell trigger for the day. By the way, I called those out pre-market, and you see here we're back down, and overall holding okay. Oops, nothing's typing there. Avgo, ugly today. Micron, which could use a correction, didn't go anywhere, right? SNDK, another one, down but not gone. So, okay, not nothing good there. When you go to big cap tech, this is where things get a little uglier. Apple, beautiful trade on Apple today, although I lost a little bit of money on my calls I was holding because I dumped them, then I bought stock, but holding the 8 day looks really good still. Netflix going into the stock split next week still looks good. Looking around at everything else, Microsoft was holding a long time today and finally capitulated. 1 billion to the buy, MOC, thank you. 1 million to buy. Amazon getting shellacked to the 21 day to that gap. Tesla got absolutely hammered today, went below 400 before recovering and filled this gap. This gap here is toast, goodbye, filled it, and it came up. Meta, of all names, held in today. I don't know. Go figure. Google came down below the 8 day for the first time now in a while. Palantir got shellacked here under the 50 day and coming into that area where it needs to hold here, this 170 area. Hood also coming into an area it needs to hold here at 120. Coin back on the 200 day. You get the idea. I'm going through some names. Cisco, which had a blowout report and guidance, they sold it off most of the day, still up quite a bit. JD, they did not like that report. They sold it. And these spec names, OKLO. When somebody says to me, "Oh, all my go-to names like OKLO and ONDS, which had a good report," you're asking for problems in a market like this, right? When you have pre-revenue names and names that are low revenue, we're still trying to figure out what they're doing if they can do it. These are the type of names that are going to get hit the hardest in a market like this. These are not your go-to. I throw open in that same book. So where do we go from here? And that's going to be the question. I think tomorrow's a big day. I think we bounce tomorrow. Gun to head, no good. I think we bounce because they try to save the weekly charts and they bring us back up a little bit. Doesn't mean this is over. I think overall the market's going to find a way to come running back if we drop here. I don't think this is game over, but I think there's a lot going on in this market, and I think one of the things that is affecting anything is the AI, and we talked about this. OpenAI and CoreWeave and looking for money from the government suggests they have financial problems and there's problems under the covers there. You have Michael Burry today after going short Palantir and somebody else then suddenly deciding to close down his fund and give money back and saying, "I'm done with this." I mean, there's a lot of little undercurrents here. We have the end of the shutdown. We're going to get a lot of data next week. We have Nvidia earnings next week. So my long-term account, I didn't touch a thing today. Um, I have some Amazon calls which are dead. I have a couple Nvidia calls which I'll hold into earnings. I only have literally a couple, two there. And outside of that, I'm just sitting here deciding whether I'm going to sell or hold, and we'll see how we react tomorrow. And my members, guys, I'm going to put this out there for free, but anybody needs to talk, it's always no charge. Just reach out to me, let me know, and I'll see all you guys in the morning. Tomorrow should be an interesting day, to say the least.